Well, let's turn a little bit to this transition you're talking about, and many neighborhoods historically throughout our communities have really organized themselves around the idea of manicured lawns and very trimmed and maintained landscapes. We've employed approach, and we have a poster up here that talks about our green fabric and how that stitches a neighborhood together. Amy, I'd love for you and then Sean to kind of speak to this organizing concept and how you see it playing out here in the maturity of Terraine.
Well, we wanted to make the landscape legible, and I think that word, it means that there are different ecosystems here that we're building, and the main basic foundational is the sage land, which is the open space areas, and then the cultivated lands are the areas where we're kind of reaching over to the wood family and bringing that agriculture legacy here. So we're interspersing areas where we were cultivating, and that's one place where the community would be able to participate in cultivating fruit or whatever it is. But we have those areas, and then we have the active lands where we're putting lawns and places for the community to recreate. And then the last place is the meadowlands, which is really where the residential areas are and the trails are. So we wanted to highlight these different areas instead of sprinkling it all around. We've used that as our organizing framework to bring alive those different plant palettes, to understand each of those plant palettes. So I think that gave us the foundation for how we landscape this whole place.
So one of the things that I enjoy a lot about this community here is, and it goes a little bit back to the previous question about stewardship too, is essentially in this community, you're buying a home, but also nature is being brought to your front door, right? And you can see that everywhere here at Terraine, where instead of, as the kids say, go touch grass, right? Go be out in nature, right? Nature is literally brought to you here, which is wonderful, I think. You don't have to get in a car to go see nature here. It's right there in front of you, which I really enjoy. And I love what the landscape architects, but both of you have done here in this community. I can see the legibility in the landscape already. It's starting to grow in and look beautiful. And it's really connected to these foothills that are around us here. And it's just so enjoyable to be here.
You can look around the hills here surrounding Terraine and see the native sage landscape. And as we're thinking about adding on to these layers of our green fabric, how do you think about the addition and enhancement of additional plants in our palette and diversifying that with, plants that will succeed and thrive in this environment, but to do so in a beautiful and kind of value-adding way? So Marcus, maybe share with us your thoughts on how we do that.
Sure. I think it's important to recognize that we're not trying to recreate the native landscape in our gardens and in our public space. We're really trying to reference and riff off of it in a way, and that's in an effort to acknowledge that a lot of the native landscape is not necessarily ornamental to everybody. We are dealing with typical residential expectations about wanting to have a beautiful, verdant, lovely looking yard. And we recognize that. And so we were trying to help residents and community members understand that you can still have that, but let's use maybe a different plant palette that is referential to the native landscape, that fills within the same context, but it has the flowery abundance of a typical residential garden.